everybody. So some of you may know if you've seen some of my other videos of me roasting and exposing my former employer, which will be left in the description box and in the card. I used to work at a dry cleaner. Not only did I work for a dry cleaner, but I was promoted to a corporate position. So I oversaw all of the stores and I worked closely with every other department in the company. I learned a lot of secrets and I'm here to expose those now too. I'm also going to be doing my makeup while I pop off, so this is going to be kind of like a chatty get ready with me, but I will be spilling all of the tea, everything that you need to know. So the company that I used to work for is owned by like actually evil people, but like I said, I've already done a couple videos exposing them. This video is going to be targeted more for like the consumer of dry cleaning. When I worked at that company, I felt so bad for the customers because they are being charged so much money for a service that they don't even need, which I guess, like, spoiler alert, the majority of what I want to talk about is literally just the fact that dry cleaning is kind of a scam service. So typically dry cleaning is done with really harsh, really toxic chemicals that are so fucking detrimental to the environment. Like, dry cleaning as an industry is so fucking bad for the environment. Also, the chemicals are carcinogenic, so they're bad for you as a person too. Like, as a human being, you shouldn't be wearing those chemicals on your skin. But a lot of times you'll see dry cleaners that advertise themselves as being like clean or toxin free, green, eco-friendly, whatever. I worked for one of those companies. And what I learned by working for that company was that they would pride themselves on being like the most toxin free, the most green, the most clean, the most eco-friendly. And it was like a point of pride for this company. But in reality, they were no different than any other like green company. It just literally meant that they didn't use a certain solvent that was like the most toxic. You know, they still drove around in vans, which burned so much fuel. They didn't use any kind of like sustainable energy in their plant. They literally just operated like any other dry cleaner, but they used a solvent that was less toxic than most. So they want you to think that you're getting this super special, like, luxury service, when in reality you're just not. They pass the additional cost on to the customer when they use eco-friendly solvents. So they kind of benefit by doing it. I guess what I'm saying is it is a good thing to go for a more environmentally friendly option when you have the choice. However, they aren't doing it because they care about the environment or the customer or anything. They're doing it because they profit more by having like the green label. They're able to charge a lot more and they're able to profit a lot more. So obviously I only have experience from that one company that I worked for, but just the fact that they took pride in advertising themselves as like the best of the best and they were lying, I just don't think you're gonna get anything different or anything better from another company. To me, it's just all the same kind of bullshit. I would say that if you do have to go to a dry cleaner or like you're in a situation where it's just something that like you need to do, obviously it is better to find a company that is more like eco-friendly, but just don't go to the most expensive one. You're not getting anything special by doing that. You're just paying more money. So the reason a lot of people do dry cleaning is because they think they need to because of things like if you have a garment that's like silk or velvet or linen, cashmere, what have you, the label says dry clean only. People think that that's how they have to get that garment cleaned, and it's just simply not true. We had to put additional charges on things like that, like delicate items or delicate items. We had to add a charge. When I worked there, it was $3. And that was for every single garment. To the customer, they think like, okay, I'm being charged extra, this is being, you know, taken care of in an extra special way, and that was just not the case. We just put that extra charge on, but nothing different was done to that garment. Nothing different. So we had to just sort it in with the regular dry cleaning. So if someone brought in like, I don't know, a pair of like jeans, and those were just put into the dry cleaning bag, and someone brought in a silk blouse, we put $3 more onto that item and we put it right in with the jeans. It got cleaned with the jeans and nothing different is done. If anything, the only difference that would be done would be during pressing. If the person who is doing the pressing notices or cares, they might be a little bit more gentle with it, but usually not. Just the way that the garments kind of travel through the system, there isn't really a way that would allow something like that to be enforced or consistent. We all knew that. Like, we all knew that's how it was being done. But when I say we, I include myself as like more of an employee. When I worked there, I worked in store. It's part of the reason that I was fired. It was because I worked. I did the job of any other worker, and so that's why I say we. They didn't want me to do that, but I felt like I should, because otherwise I was just doing almost nothing. So yeah, that's why I say we. But yeah, we had to put that additional charge on like delicate fabrics because they would be threatened with the loss of their jobs if they didn't, even though everyone knew it was kind of like bullshit. So when that happens, as a customer, you're literally just being charged extra for no reason. Like, it's literally just, it's a scam. Like, I'm gonna use the word scam quite often. It's literally a scam. So there's that. So you might have the question of like, well, I have this silk blouse, I want to get it cleaned, but I don't want to be charged an outrageous, absurd amount for something that doesn't need to be dry cleaned. Like, what am I supposed to do? Because in reality, there isn't anything that you really need to get dry cleaned. And I guess I should explain what dry cleaning is. So it's called dry cleaning because it doesn't use water, it just uses solvent. So it is still getting wet in the process of cleaning, it's just wet with solvent instead of water plus detergent. For some reason, dry cleaning has this reputation of being like a gentler clean, which isn't true. It gets put through an industrial machine and tumbled around just like laundry. It's still wet. It's just not in water, but the process is the same. So something you can do is hand wash your garments. So, well, here, I have this, I'll go get it. So I have this vintage blazer that I purchased probably about 3 years ago. The outside is velvet, the inside is silk. 100% velvet, 100% silk. Typically, this would be a garment that people would say needs to be dry cleaned, and I have had it dry cleaned. I had it dry cleaned one time in 3 years of having this blazer. Do you want to know how I clean this? I put it in the washing machine with all my regular laundry. It goes in with my pajamas, it goes in with my dresses and my shirts. It gets washed on cold with regular detergent, and I hang it to dry. It looks exactly the same as when I bought it. It has not shrunk, there is no damage. Washing machine, laundry, on cold, gentle, hang to dry. There is almost nothing that you own that you shouldn't be able to wash yourself in that way. The most important thing is to not put it in the dryer. If you want to hand wash something, like if you're just really nervous, if it's like lacy, if there's beads on it, if it's sentimental, super, super delicate, just hand wash it. At the company I worked for, that's what we would do with like the most delicate items. We would put it through as a hand wash. So it would get sorted separately. When I say sorted, I mean like typically 99.9% of like delicates would just get sorted in with the dry cleaning, but every now and then someone would bring in something that is like very heavily beaded, or something that is sentimental and very old, something that like at the store while we're like detailing it, we're like, this needs to be actually taken care of, right? And we used to do that with all of the delicate items, and then we got yelled at because most things just get fucking cleaned like normal, right? So the hand wash process is done with water. So let that sink in. You'll hear people say like water is bad for certain textiles. It's just not true, because at the most prestige dry cleaner in Minnesota, like, we hand washed the most delicate stuff in water. So there's no reason why you can't do that at home for free. We did that because it was the only way to ensure that the garment wouldn't get damaged in the machine, which happened a lot, but I'll get into that. Another thing is that if there were any kind of like biohazard stains or like large staining, it would get soaked in water. So it literally didn't matter like what the fabric was, it didn't matter. When I worked there, every single type of fabric, every single type of garment, every single type of anything got soaked in water and washed in water. So it's just like, the more that I realized that, the more I was like, this is such a fucking scam. Like, we are scamming people. Like, we're charging this person like $22 to wash her delicate silk blouse, and it's basically being fucking laundered. Are you fucking kidding me? There's nothing that you can't just wash at home. Either hand wash or just literally put it in your laundry. Just don't dry it. That's the most important. Just don't put it in the dryer. Just hang it to dry. It'll be fine. Also, a lot of things that were brought to the dry cleaners literally were laundered. So I don't know why people would bring in things like yoga pants, like cotton sundresses, dress shirts, like things that, like, the way they were cleaned was just laundry. Washing machine, dryer. It's just an industrial size. You could go to the laundromat and get the same experience for so much cheaper. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a ton of laundry that just you don't want to do at home, just go to a laundromat, seriously. Like, people are wasting their fucking money at the dry cleaner. Literally, anything cotton gets laundered. It doesn't matter. It gets laundered. Like, we would really have people paying like $50 just to get a load of laundry done. Like, it was absurd, dude. And I don't think people know that it literally just gets laundered. Like, I don't think people know that we do it the same way you would do it at home. So if you do have like a rug or something that you can't put in your washing machine, or something that you just can't do on your own, at least the dry cleaner I worked at, I think they all kind of do this. You can bring it to a dry cleaner and they will accept it and they will charge you for cleaning it, but it just gets outsourced to a specialist. So it's the same thing with like leather, fur, suede, which, by the way, you can just fucking wipe down at home. Specialist items like that should never be brought to a dry cleaner, because they don't fucking clean them, they outsource them. The specialist that they're outsourcing to charges the dry cleaner the same price that they would charge a customer, but then the dry cleaner charges the customer double, so they make 100% profit. So for example, you bring in a rug to get cleaned, you bring it to the dry cleaner sends it to the specialist, who charges them $50. If you brought it to the specialist, they would charge you $50. Specialist is making the same amount of money either way. But the dry cleaner gets it back, pays $50 to the specialist, customer comes to pick it up, they're charged $100. You're being charged double just to bring it to a middleman. Also, in this process, there's a high chance of that item going missing, because you'll bring it to the dry cleaner, so you'll bring it to their store, and if that store is not like the central location or like the plant, they send it to the central location, and from there it gets sent to the specialist. It gets brought back from the specialist to the central location and then back to the store. So things went missing quite often because of just how many times it's exchanging hands. I don't have any specialist items, but I would never feel comfortable bringing one to a dry cleaner for that reason. Also, just like the overcharging. So I guess let's get into what happens when things do go missing or get damaged, which happens all the time, not just with specialist stuff, but with fucking everything. So if you go on the website of whatever dry cleaner you want to bring your stuff to, you'll find like a terms of service or like an agreement or like, you know, something of that nature, you know, just their policies. So if you read that carefully, you will find wording that protects the company 100% in instances where something does get damaged or go missing. And this will legally cover them, like in the event of somebody taking them to claims court, which happens all the time. I never had to actually like represent the company in those cases, because usually I just paid the customers out because I don't think it's fair when something is damaged to not pay for it. But I'm not dragging the company that I worked for. I need to reel it in. I'm exposing dry cleaning and the scam that it is. And this is not like a dry cleaning only thing. This is just a capitalism thing. But just be warned, because the amount of things that would get damaged or go missing when I worked there was astronomical. The risk of bringing something into a dry cleaner is so high, like you might never see that thing again. So if something actually is like meaningful to you, don't fucking bring it to a dry cleaner. Just don't do it. At the company that I worked for, I believe you had 24 hours. It might be 48, but I'm pretty sure after one particular lawsuit, they moved it to 24 for you to bring something to the attention of the company. So if something is missing from your order that you picked up, you had 24 hours to call or email basically letting the company know that they didn't give you back all your stuff. If something is damaged, you had 24 hours to let the company know. Otherwise, they would say that you've had it in your possession too long, so we can't be held responsible for any damage. They will try to find it, like they will give it 2 weeks for it to turn up. Usually that's because it was given to a different customer and that customer has to just bring it back. So that's if something is lost. They'll give it 2 weeks before moving to claims, which if it does go through the claims process, this is just the company that I worked for, but this is pretty standard. They will offer store credit based on the cost of cleaning, not the cost of the garment that they lost or damaged. So you won't even be compensated in real money that would allow you to go buy a new piece of clothing. You'll be compensated in more of their services, which you no longer trust because they lost or damaged your clothing. So obviously this made a lot of people really upset because it's not really fair. Like, if you break something of somebody's, like, you should just pay for it, just buy them a new one. It's fucking gross. It's fucking gross that they do that. Every now and then, you know, people will push and they'll get a check. Like, I would write a number of checks for people who just, you know, if someone pushed it, I would just write them a check because I don't think it's fair to give them store credit if they want a new piece of clothing. But like I said, you are paid for the cost of cleaning. So if you brought in a dress that was like $200 and it gets shredded, it only costs like $20 for cleaning. So you'll get paid, like, I think it was 5 times the cost of cleaning. So you'll get paid $100 in store credit for a dress that cost you $200 that got shredded. And that's if you bring it to their attention within 24 hours. Keep that in mind too. It's just like this, the whole system is designed to just fuck people over. They don't care about their customers, they don't care about their employees, they only care about profit. And you can see that in their prices, you can see that in the way that they react when something gets damaged or goes missing and they now need to compensate somebody. You can see that in the way that they pay their employees. You can see that in every single thing they do. And again, I only know about the company that I worked for, but if they're truly the best of the best, like they want people to believe, I think that it's fair that I'm making this statement about dry cleaning as a whole, okay? They only care about profit. And yeah, that's capitalism. But dry cleaning in particular is such a fucking scam that I need people to know. I need people to know that this is such a scam. You don't even need to dry clean. I can tell you that owning a dry cleaning company is very profitable. I can tell you that with confidence, with certainty. The profit margins for dry cleaning are unbelievably high. Unbelievable. Obviously, I would sit in budget meetings. I would sit in monthly meetings where we would go through KPIs, P&Ls. I know how much money can be made in the dry cleaning industry. And part of it is because so many people are unaware of how unnecessary dry cleaning is. So many people. And that we definitely did have customers that were just too lazy to do their own laundry and they made an absurd amount of money at whatever job they had. They don't clean for themselves, they don't cook for themselves, they don't do their laundry, they don't mow their lawn, they don't do anything because they're just spoiled rich assholes, and we got a lot of those. Oh boy, did we get a lot of those. And that part of the job made it so miserable because dealing with that type of person, okay, I'm getting into complaining about that job again, I'm trying not to do that. Aside from that, there were people that were just like average people. You know, we'd have teachers, nurses, we'd have people that worked at like Walgreens down the street that were coming in to get dry cleaning done. And it's like, baby, you are wasting your money. We have better options. Like when dry cleaning was invented back in the day, we didn't have the detergents we have today or the machines we have today or the knowledge of just garment care in general that we have today. We have better ways to care for our own garments and we don't need dry cleaning. Also, when I worked there, part of like the benefits of working there was basically essentially free cleaning. We would get a monthly stipend as employees and we would get a discount. So basically, like, those two things combined meant that, you know, for the first few months of working there, I didn't have to pay for any laundry. I would just bring it in and get it cleaned there, you know? I only did that for like a couple months of working there, because once I started to see like some of the nasty shit that people would bring in, I was like, there's no fucking way my clothes are touching the shit that comes in here. And I know technically it gets cleaned, but dry cleaning isn't actually an effective clean. Laundry is a more effective clean. Dry cleaning just, it isn't. It doesn't get stains out, it doesn't get smells out. And like, if it's not getting a smell out, it's not getting clean. Like, if you can still smell the smell, the bacteria is still in there. Like, your shit isn't getting clean when you go to dry clean. And I'm not the only one. Like, this was a big thing with like new employees. They would get their stuff cleaned all the time, and then eventually they would just stop. And it's, no one had to tell them to. It's just something like, once you see enough, you're like, I don't want any part of this. It is not uncommon to see things like pants with poop in them. People will bring in clothes that are just really like nasty, sweaty, like super soiled and dirty. I've seen clothes with semen in them. I've seen blood, mold, mildew. I've seen it all, okay? And I just couldn't handle the idea of like some of my clothes rubbing up against a pair of like poopy pants or semen or mold. I just stopped getting the service, and I am not the only one. Like I said, most employees eventually stopped because they were like, this is so fucking gross. Also, the question about bed bugs came up a number of times, and this grosses me out so much. So while I was in charge, which was, you know, I got hired in as a manager of a store and then promoted to director of all of the stores. So I was in charge of at least something for, you know, every moment that I worked there. And I always said, absolutely no bed bugs. Bed bugs are not something that you need a dry cleaner for. Bed bugs are something that you need an exterminator for. If a customer asks to bring in bed bugs, it's an absolute fucking no. Absolute 100% no. I would not risk my staff catching bed bugs. That is just not fucking worth it for someone else's profit. So that was just always a hard no. Always, the whole time I was there, until the new owners bought the business. They were super micromanagey. They were super fucking evil. Again, if you want to know more, I'll have it linked in the description and in the card. I think it's on this side. Yeah, I guess I didn't talk about this in any of my other videos, so I guess I can get into it now. But yeah, something that the new owners did was they tried to reverse that policy that I created, and they tried to say that we need to start accepting things with bed bugs, because some Google searches came up and said that the dry cleaning process can kill bed bugs, but others said no. So because it was kind of unsure, they said, we will do what's best for the customer and we will just accept their bed bug blankets. And I did not tell my staff that, obviously. They never knew what the owners said. So I don't know if that's changed or not now, but that's another reason why I won't do dry cleaning, because I don't want to pick up my clothes and maybe have like someone else's poop particles on them. I don't want to pick up my clothes and get fucking bed bugs, you know what I mean? I don't want to try to pick up my clothes just to have them not be there, or to have mystery stains all over them, which happened so many times. Like, I don't know how this happened so many times. Every single week, every fucking week, I would have a list of issues that I had to resolve with customers, a list of compensations I had to offer, and like solutions, and like just back and forth constantly with angry customers because the company that I worked for damaged or lost their clothing and didn't want to compensate them fairly. And that was like the majority of my job. If you want to maybe never see your clothes again, I guess a dry cleaner might be right up your alley, you know? If you want to get a bed bug infestation because some capitalist is greedy and wants more profit and said yes to a customer who wanted to bring in their bed bugs, and because the owner of that business doesn't actually have to handle the bed bugs or the blood or the semen or the poop because someone else is doing it and they're making money from it, they're happy to allow that. just as long as the other customers don't know. But hey, I'm here to tell you, customers, consumers of dry cleaning, I'm here to tell you the reality of the situation. And when you bring something in to be dry cleaned, exactly what happens to it, which is that it just gets tumbled around in an industrial machine. You're overcharged for things that you don't even need. It's rubbing up against poop and semen and bed bugs, and it's gonna get damaged or go lost. Highly likely that it will, at least. You don't need dry cleaning because you can just wash it at home. You don't need to do this. You don't need to give someone like that your money, someone who is so greedy and so willing to exploit workers and scam customers. You don't need to give someone like that your money. Also, you'll see dry cleaners advertising like tailor services, and the dry cleaner that I worked for actually did have a tailor on staff. A lot of them don't though. But unless you're gonna meet with the tailor directly and speak to them directly and get fitted by them and know that they are the ones who are gonna be tailoring your garment, that's just another thing that I wouldn't recommend going to a dry cleaner for, just because if you bring it into just like any dry cleaning store, the store staff is supposed to like pin your garment and like measure you, and they're barely trained. Like they don't want to be doing that. They barely know what they're doing. They just kind of like write a note to the tailor, like to the best of their ability, about like what you want done, and there's just like the communication between like the store, the tailor, you, what you need, it's so spotty. Also, like, that is another thing that gets outsourced a lot. Even at the store that I worked at, we would outsource a lot of tailoring that just our main tailor just couldn't get through. And then, you know, obviously in those situations, it's just some random person who's kind of following the notes that may or may not be accurate. And like the tailoring thing was a big issue all the time. Like if you need tailoring done, just find a tailor and go to that tailor. Because just dry cleaning is like, there is nothing in this world that you need a dry cleaner for. That's like the moral of this whole story. There are things you may need a specialist for, like a tailor or a rug. Go to the specialist. Don't go to the dry cleaner. You will be charged more than you would be if you just went to the specialist. The chances of something getting fucked up are very high, and there's just no reason. There's just no reason to go to a dry cleaner. Oh, actually, there is something else that I forgot to mention. I do bridal makeup. Like, that's like my job right now. I do makeup for weddings. So it is wedding season, so I just feel like I should mention this because a lot of wedding dresses are brought to dry cleaners, and a lot of them get lost. It was one of the last issues that I had when I worked there before I got canned, and I'm so glad I didn't actually have to see that issue through, because every single time a wedding dress went missing, it was like, I felt so bad. Like I can't even explain to you, like having to look a new bride in the eyes and tell her that we don't know where her wedding dress is, or there would be many, once again, that would get damaged in the process. Like, it is the worst fucking thing. And wedding dresses aren't even cleaned at dry cleaners. At least the one that I worked for, okay? Some of them, maybe, but not the ones that I worked for. At one point we shipped them to California, at one point we shipped them to New York. We would just try to find like the cheapest way to clean them and charge the bride, once again, 100% more. The wedding dress in particular could be such a huge profit for them. I can't even get my words out because this one in particular makes me so mad. I can't believe I almost forgot this. The wedding dresses in particular were such a huge profit for them because they charged so much money for something that they weren't even doing. By the time I left, the arrangement that they had, the dry cleaner, was paying about $60 per dress cleaning and turning around and charging almost $300. So, if you have a wedding dress and you want to get it cleaned, your first thought is going to be dry cleaner. And I'm here to tell you, do not fucking do that. Because you will be charged so much money for something that they aren't even touching. They're shipping it across the country at times. Just find a wedding dress specialist. Because when I first got hired there, we were actually sending them somewhere in Minnesota to a wedding dress specialist, but it was the same kind of arrangement. Like, the company was profiting so fucking much just by outsourcing it. And the customer had no idea that they could just bring it directly to the specialist and save hundreds of dollars. It's just so shady. It's just such a fucking shady ass scam, dude. So it is wedding season. Please don't bring your dress to a dry cleaner. Bring it to a gown specialist. Dry cleaners are just, it's an industry that just kind of pumps out clothes. It's just a huge laundry service. That's what dry cleaning essentially is. Like, people will bring their shoes in. The shoes get sent out to a cobbler. Just go to a cobbler. I can't stress this enough. When you see the plant at a dry cleaner, it's just a bunch of machines. It looks like a laundromat. If you have anything that you think should go to a dry cleaner, just take 10 seconds and think, can I wash this at home? No. Who can do this? And go to them. You have shoes. Who does shoes? A cobbler. Go to them. Who does rugs? A rug specialist. That's what it was called. At least the one we sent it to. Just Google rug specialist and send it to them. It will be less expensive for you. It will be more taken care of. You'll get it back a lot sooner. And you're not giving money to a greedy capitalist. There's nobody who's starting a dry cleaning business who isn't just a super greedy fucking evil person, because the whole industry is a scam. Okay, so lashes are on and lip is on. I used the ColourPop Just a Tint lip balm in Rose Way for the lips, and then eye details are all on Instagram. I post every look that I do on my artistry page, so that's linked down below, Ashley Morgan Artistry on Instagram. So if you're curious about like the shadows that I used, I mean, I can just fucking tell you too. I used the Malibu Barbie palette. I did buy this because if 5-year-old me knew that there was a Barbie eyeshadow palette and I didn't buy it, I would be so disappointed in myself. So I live my life for 5-year-old me. So I bought this. I hope that this video has been educational. I hope that you guys have realized just how absolutely unnecessary dry cleaning is, and if I can prevent just one person from feeding into the bullshit that is the dry cleaning industry and handing their money over to a horrible, greedy capitalist, scam artist, bitch, then good, that's what I'm here for. Literally, just do your own laundry, buy a steamer, you'll be so much happier and you'll have so much more money in your pocket. I'm gonna just stop now. I've said everything I need to say. Let me know what else you want to see from me. I post twice a week here on YouTube every single week, so subscribe if you want to see more. All of my social media will be linked down below. If you want to be friends, let's be friends. And as always, I just want to say thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!